So if you're not trying to alienate anybody, you don't need to be impressive or interesting. And this is why you can't argue with some people, because it's in, innately understood. It's innately understood before you even ask. Like, before you even ask why you don't think, but see, the premise will be loaded before you even respond. Because we're not talking about the same thing if we're not on the same page. And if we're not on the same page, it implies there's something that is not innately understood. So that's one of the things that frustrates people about when they get into politics, because if you're not already adept, then you end up saying all of the things and exhibiting all of the things that you said you didn't want to experience or you didn't want to engage, and then you go on and state your fears, but then you espouse all of these, fallacies off the top. And that was the reason why you hate politics or something like that. When there's two things that's true. One is that there's no such thing as an apolitical human being. And secondly, if you're vying to distinguish yourself, and anybody is, and you're aware of compartmentalization, that's alienation in a way, then this alienation thing is like it's like a huge gun or a cannon, and you're trying to push it towards the opponent. So, but if you just don't like being alienated, or you're motivated by security, that's why you're always wrong. Because you're going into something like, oh, I want to be part of this with the interest in promoting and furthering it. Just like a gang, a family, or a nation. Because if you're in a family and you're just there for the security, then you can't be the head of it. You know what I mean? You can't be the head of it, because the head of it has to explain being there, has to make the ultimate sacrifices. So that's the opposite. That's counter to just having the benefit or of being there. So like a gang or a country is like you have public servants, and so they have to sacrifice something. And sometimes you don't understand is that you already have. And so in light of the fact that you don't have to belong anymore because you already have sacrificed something, or you already have bulwarked or taken some pressure or some stress off a point off of somebody else who is trying to pick themselves and put them together, then there's a pool of political capital. Have you ever heard these politicians talking about that? They'll refer to it directly. You know what I mean? That's like energy, and it's like if you give them your sons, to be in the army and everything, they're like capital. They're gonna use them. That's like, they're not just going to have them to not use them. So they're going to use them, and then the attitude of good soldiers is that they're. It's like they know that they're going to use them, but they're patriotic in a sense that just don't waste me. Just don't get me wasted, because then I would be working for someone who's not patriotic. And that's what happened with the incursion into Hamas, is that it's orchestrated by the same people who allowed the initial invasion into Israel to happen. So it's like, if from an outsider looking in, do you think that they're going to be success? Of course, hell no. They're not going to be success. There was battles that God ordered the Israelites to go and destroy everything and not take any of their artifacts, like not take any of their treasures or anything. Like, leave all that shit behind or burn it. Don't take any of it, because it was corrupt them and they couldn't get together under the same covenant. They would be outside of the covenant, so they didn't take strange wives and they didn't take things that was not motivating in the same direction that they were going as a nation, because they'll never get there. And now, if you're in an Acropolis, then you would just put up a pretty front and a pretty, like, an attractive, or, to imposing front, or a face that looks strong, and the inside it's corroded. And so for the time being, you can't say anything against, you can't, because if I say that about Israel, then so you're trying to say that we don't have a right to defend ourselves? You're trying to say that you will let them do this to us? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, because all the people that are responding to that are only responsible for I'm saying, for their perspective, and then the pressure on them is real. But do you think, I'm saying, it's not about whether or not that they have a right to do it. It's whether or not you think that they will be successful. And of course, they're not going to be successful. I don't care how it looks successful. You just know it's not. And because you can't go into it with the same, isn't that exactly what you don't want? Is somebody ordering you around to do something who already went and backdoored your society, and now they're leading you? How the fuck are you going to be successful? I already told you what can you expect to see. But for some, now that it's obvious like that, then they just, that's why you haven't heard about the massacres and stuff. Because right now you're not supposed to be able to say nothing about them, because Hamas was the most savage, animalistic. We know, look, nobody is saying that they're not. It's just that over time, you guys are, I guess, trying to become a manageable, one of those like treatable, incurable illnesses. And it's to the behest of of feudal oligarchs that make hell on their people. So that could end, but the strength on the power of what responsibility they place in the hands of people who sign off on the check, that has no perspective, that you think that I say this or mean that or must mean that, and you don't want to alienate. So you get cajoled into ratifying it. You get cajoled into signing off, and that makes you a good person. You feel good because you did that now. I don't see this ever ending, because there's I haven't seen an example where there was a justified incursion into anything, even if it was for a good reason, because they always go in and take a little bit of something and keep something that they're not supposed to keep, in furtherance of, something that they're going, like, you can't even define it, because they're going to try to put a definition on it and then juggle it and fumble it, and they're always going to lose it when they have the right definition, because we're not really doing this. We're not doing this. You know what I mean? Oh, you like, how many times have you been reoriented on the fact that this is a constitutional republic? It doesn't fucking matter. You're gonna still get tricked into calling it a democracy, in contention with some people that are responding on a cortisol level. Like, they're having chemical reactions to stuff not congealing and making sense in their mind, and it's not supposed to, because it's incomplete. So elements and entities that are corrupt have to keep them from hearing the perspectives that can straighten it out. So they need this alienation machine. That's the thing that has been able to do it. You have to become 5 times as smart to be able to convey something that they're not stupid because they can't understand it. They're, you know what I'm saying? They're susceptible to being manipulated by dialectics and shit like that. But there's something that you have to see in them in the first place to even try to reach them. And that's real. So you could lose basis with that. And it's like a little bit of, sometimes the requirement on you to be self-deprecating, even if though it's not, like they're not, like don't try to be self-deprecating. Maybe you can find a genius way where you can be self-deprecating without intending to be self-deprecating, because I don't think you're supposed to try to be self-deprecating. They could tell when you're not, and then they become anxiety because they can detect space. That's already naturally, it's like psycho-cybernetic. Like that's some shit that goes beyond like science and trying to understand, you know. It's in your mind. It's very intricate. It's simple, but it's intricate to put back together. Like a natural conveyance would be effortless, but to forego that, you know what I mean? You become like the pole star, orientated by the pole star, which is the Eye of Sauron. You know what I mean? Because all those orcs has good intentions. All those the army of the orcs, they're a little bit libelist in the way that they have to pull people into a meta conversation, and they'll talk about your shoes, or you must be this or disturbed or something. Like they must pull something out about you and critique, so that you'll talk about a conversation instead of getting mail. Get mail, you know what I mean? Like maybe just not saying in a materialistic sense you're supposed to have your mail, you know, but turning on your mail should be the motivating fast. These things keep popping up on my screen. It's a conspiracy. I'm struggling to try to explain myself in little pop-ups and what's another thing? Am I going on a dialectic already? Because, oh no, I didn't. I went in on just a general principle that you can't invade an enemy if you're in cahoots. Like, duh, but then if they don't know how you're in cahoots, that's the missing element. It's like, because they wanted to believe the establishment. So even if it's like, okay, so because you notice how sometimes they'll tell you about, you know, it's you know, money and politics and the elite, but then like you ask, who is that? You know, like it's like they'll think it's like a president or something, like it's Trump or something. Like okay, we know that he's probably an insider, but come on, like oh man. So do you contribute energy to them to explain them about Wall Street and Jekyll Island and the Bolsheviks and Trotsky is like socialist England. Like, do you do that? Like, that's a lot of energy to somebody who probably just doesn't like you, and they're probably just pissed off that you have any competence at all. Like, just waiting for you to shut the fuck up. And they look at you up and down, sizing you up, and they want to talk about your belt or something like your is that your wallet? I can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, some people has a Velcro wallet or something. We'll just talk about that.